On to part two. If you're looking for a review of Undertow and what it brings to the Too Many Bones system, and if it's a good jumping off point for a person who doesn't own any Too Many Bones, well, you can check out that review. That's not what this review is. This review is about the Automaton of Shale, which I always call the automation of Shale, and I've finally gotten it correct. But before we start, like and subscribe, because I'm re-recording this so your audio is better, and just do me that. Please just do me that, because it's been a long day, and I'd like to go to bed. Now, Too Many Bones is a game that I like quite a bit. The Automaton of Shale is something that I don't like quite a bit, but it might be something that you will like quite a bit if you love Too Many Bones. I think if you have everything Too Many Bones, this might be a thing for you. I think if you don't have everything Too Many Bones, well, then you should just go and get something else that they have, because it'll be better than this. This unique expansion pop-up book item comes in at $65, and for just $35 more, you could go get Undertow. And for that, you should absolutely just go get Undertow if you don't have it. However, if you do have everything Too Many Bones, then you may really enjoy having this as part of your collection as well. Maybe. So let's talk about it. This comes in two parts, and I think the two parts are both extremely important to talk about, because you have the pop-up book. This is what it is pitched as. It's a unique pop-up book experience, but you also have, when you open the box, this deck of cards down here, which has a little sticker on it that says, "Do not open until instructed." And we'll get to more on that later, but I think you really need to evaluate both parts of the experience and what they will bring to you if you're contemplating getting this, so you're not disappointed, because I think because of that price point and because of what that sort of experience is, it's not worth it to just get half. It isn't. Both are part of the box. Both should be considered as part of the experience. And if you're just saying, okay, well, I'm considering the pop-up book stuff and the additional little mini campaign that goes along with it, and you don't really care about this other aspect of it, I just don't think this is going to be worth that extreme price point versus getting anything else that Too Many Bones can offer. So let's first talk about the pop-up book aspect of it. This is something that I was really excited to play. I waited a long time until I could play it with my friend who's a big fan of Too Many Bones, so I could get his opinion on it as well, in terms of what it brings to the game versus what he's experienced versus what I've experienced as somebody who just owns Undertow as well. And what this is, first of all, if you have this, make sure you open the back card pack first, because it'll actually tell you how to set up. There's a printing error in there that you need to know about, that the back card got inserted. I don't know if that's been fixed in previous copies, but it certainly was in my copy. Luckily, I found out about that before going through, and that enabled me to know how to set up and to know how to play the game, because it doesn't really give you any other instructions. So that's number one. Number two is that this is sort of a guided play of Too Many Bones. What it'll be, you'll open a page, we'll do it together. Oh, I should say, spoiler alert, this video will cover spoilers of this game. Yes, I'm going to open this book and show you the contents of it. Yes, I am going to talk about the riddle that is mysterious in the bottom of the box, because you need to know about these things, and you need to stick around and listen to them so you know if you're going to even like that experience and if it's going to be worth purchasing. But nothing I say here or show here should impact your enjoyment of the thing. There will be minor spoilers, and they will happen at the beginning of the stuff. And I'm going to show you the pictures of the pop-up book, because let's be honest, you've seen it already in everybody else who's covered this as a game. But just to get it out of the way, there will be spoilers. I'm not here to spoil your fun any more than I usually do, which I know just by my existence that happens, but that's what you get here at Room and Board, okay? That's what you signed up for when you clicked my idiot face on the thumbnail. What I am here to do is to give you enough information to see if you will enjoy the experience, and anything I tell you right now shouldn't detract from that experience. So there you go. That's my stance on spoilers, an overly long stance. Let's just get into it. You're gonna open this. Yeah, look, ooh, you got spoiled. Uh-oh. Hey, look, there's a little door here. Oh, spoiler. There are people inside the door. What did you expect? Oh, there's a little tab here. What's gonna happen? Oh, there's fire that's happening, and I guess that's a moon. It kind of just seems like a not a moon, you know? I wish there was something that was more of a moon in there. It doesn't matter. You're going to open up this little package here on every page, and it'll tell you a little story element, and it'll give you a set number of cards. The cards will be your encounters that you have to face. Sometimes there will be additional loot in there. Sometimes there'll be little sections off to the side which will add baddies to the top of the baddie queue, which are obviously new enemies that you get to face. That's what this game gives you from a gameplay perspective. And I'm just going to keep on going through this as we talk about it. From a visual and unique perspective, you get this little cute pop-up book. And so as you go through the journey and you go through your various encounters and you decide which encounters you're going to pursue and what baddies you're going to fight, and you're unlocking different loot and new stuff, you'll get these cute little visual elements, right? Oh, we're at the fair now. Oh, now we're on to the river rafting experience, where if you don't have undertow, you are forced to not choose the one that takes place on water. But if you do have undertow, yeah, I love this little face right here. If you do have undertow, well, then you can choose either or, and it's fun. It's fun and it's fine. For me, what I loved about this was not any of the pop-up book elements, but it was the fact that it was giving me this guided story and this guided campaign. I don't care that I'm in the forest, sure. I care that I've been going on this guided campaign that eventually ends in a big boss battle, and the boss is quite interesting to figure out. It kind of shifts as the game progresses. When I was pulling this out and looking at it, preparing for this review, and my friend Jess was over, and she said, "Wow, that looks so cool. Like, this is such a cool book. It's like a beautiful piece. That'd be so cool to just put on your shelf." And I said, "Well, do you want it?" Like, I'm going to give this away to her because I'm done with it. I'm keeping all of the content, and I'm including that in my copy of Undertow, and I'm excited that I have those extra baddies and that extra content. That's great. But for me, this is something where you need to really love the Too Many Bones universe, or you need to love the art and that style. And to me, there's no real reason for me to pull it out ever again after I have played it and I've unlocked the stuff. It's not like the little passages of rhyming story are particularly enthralling that I'm going to want to take this out and read it to myself before I go to sleep. It's not like I'm going to want to wake up every day and, you know, kiss this little boar on the cheek. Although now that I say that, yes, okay, maybe that is something that I want to do and just can't have it. But it's not like I want to wake up every day and kiss this little Ferris wheel on the well, now that I say I do. No. You know what I mean, right? It's a one-shot campaign. It's a one-shot thing. It's a one-and-done experience. I really like the idea of the guided campaign. I love the unlocks, but I don't need it to come along with this fun pop-up book. But now that I've seen it, I go, okay, that's fun, and I'm just going to put it away, or would just put it on a shelf. It certainly is not worth $65 for this. It isn't. It was a fun experience, but I would love to just get little packs, 10 bucks each, of a little stack of cards, and I think there were like 4 baddie chips in here, 10 to 20 bucks each. I don't know how to value it, but not $65 and then tax on it. That's just ludicrous because it's in US dollars and it's actually like 100 Canadian for this book. In no world does that make sense. However, this isn't the only part of the box, and that's the reason why I do want to talk about the contents of this other box, this separate secret riddle box that came with it that I was really excited to explore. Well, actually, I thought my expectations were that this was going to be a deck filled with additional encounters and ways to randomize this and ways to make this replayable and ways to unlock more loot and do sort of a roguelike experience, and that made me really excited. And then it wasn't any of that, and so my expectations were a little dashed, and then they were even more dashed when I realized I had to spend the time that it took to delve into the contents of this box and this riddle in order to see and be able to evaluate its value and the addition of what it brings to the Automaton of Shale. But we do have to evaluate it. And so what is in here is not really any extra content that you can put into your game. It is a riddle, or it puts itself forward as a riddle. There's a little thing of text here with a QR code that you scan, and the QR code leads you to the Chip Theory Games Discord. If you need help, Gearlock help figuring out the contents of this pack of cards, because that's what it is. There are 4 suits: gears, blood, bones, and eyes. You know, the standard the standard currency in Daylore. I'll give you 3 eyes and a pint of blood for that that baddie ball. Sold! It gives you this deck of cards. And when I pulled this out, I thought, okay, this is going to be fun. I'm glad I have a little help system if I need help, but this is going to be, it's designed by the Enigma Emporium, so like escape room style thing. I'm like, okay, cool. You're getting like, also getting an escape room, cool Gearlock themed escape room alongside this cool piece. That adds value to me, right? An escape room that you play is going to cost you 20 to 30 bucks or something, and then you can sort of justify it a little bit more of getting these 2 things. However, it's not really even a riddle. It's more of a scavenger hunt, I would describe it, or an internet riddle, because it takes place half and half on the internet, but it's like those big, wide-sweeping internet riddles that you see out there. Mr. Beast did one of these, and he's like, hey, whoever solves this riddle first in 24 steps will get $1 million or something like that. And people got together and worked on it on Discord and brute forced it. And I feel like that's the style of game that you're getting here with this. So I'll give you a few examples. There are like 40 different puzzles to solve. We'll go through a couple so you can get a sense of what I mean. And then I'll get into sort of my problems and my issues with this. Or maybe I'll talk about that now, because one of my main issues here, and this is how I approached this game, this riddle, is I wanted to do it by myself. I wanted to just have a nice night alone, doing a solo escape room, having the box here, just figuring it out on my own, and I didn't want to interact with anyone. And unfortunately, there isn't a way to do that, or at least not with what I have, which is just the Automaton of Shale and Undertow. And this is why I describe it as a scavenger hunt, because it uses the physical components from a whole bunch of Too Many Bones stuff. And that's something that you need to know, because if you don't own everything, well, then you're not going to be able to get too far, are you? There are ways around it, which we'll talk about now. So you start off with this Ace of Gears, and it says, great adventure awaits, so gather your team to begin your journey, consult with the Queen. I'm like, cool. All right, this is getting us off to the right start. I'm going to pull out the Queen one. And the Queen has this little, that's the Queen symbol. It's got a little square thing that looks like a battle mat because there are circles on it and not squares. And you got the little gears, mechanical stuff around it, the art, whatever. And then there's a little slash and some numbers at the bottom. And so I pulled this out and I was like, okay. I pulled it out with my friend Jess was over because she thought I was doing it. She was crashing at her place, and she was like, okay, yeah, I'd like escape rooms. Cool, like I'll be interested. And so she was looking through and I was looking through the cards. There was no real way for us to interact with this thing because we weren't sure what we were supposed to look at. And so I turned to the Chip Theory Games Discord. I thought, okay, there are a number of threads of people solving these puzzles, and they're labeled very well. You can go through the threads and you can see the previous discussion that happened when Automaton of Shale first came out. It's people coming together saying, okay, we're going to solve this together. We're going to go through the puzzles, and they include spoiler tags, and they're going through their sorts of thoughts. But there's nowhere where there's an actual hint system. There's no cheat sheet where if you're stuck in an escape room, you can say, okay, am I on the right track? And it'll give you a tiny little bit of information. You go, okay, oh, that's all the hint that I needed to actually crack the code and solve the puzzle. There's no actual thing like that. There's just a bunch of people talking about the solutions and then mostly not even mentioning the solutions. It usually devolves into a mod of the Chip Theory team saying, hey, DM me for if you need more help. And so this was annoying to me because I just wanted to do it. I didn't want to interact with anybody. I wanted to have a nice night. I didn't want to wait for somebody in a different time zone to have to get back to me with this weird, inconsequential thing to play with, especially when I'm doing this in February 2023 and this thread is from 2022, let's say. So that was the first annoyance, but the threads were helpful, and they helped guide us along the path that actually we had to use this backslash to go to a URL. I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then they also led me to say, oh, well, you actually just need Gasket's battle mat for this. Because if you look around here, there are cogs, and we know that Gasket is a mechanical gear lock. He's not an Undertow. He's not one of the other characters that I've seen from playing Too Many Bones with a friend. How am I supposed to know that this is Gasket? That I need to actually access Gasket's battle mat, and when I don't have Gasket's physical battle mat in front of me, that seems ridiculous. But luckily Board Game Geek exists. So I went on Board Game Geek, I looked up Gasket, I found the battle mat, and I was able to solve this puzzle down here, which corresponds with the stuff. You know, you'll get it. Now that you know it's Gasket, it's very simple to figure out. It's very, very simple to unlock once you know how to interact with the game. And I was like, that's fine. Now I figure out, now I know how to interact with this puzzle. There's that learning curve that we spend 20 minutes thinking, oh, are the hints in here? No, the hints are actually just on Discord, and you need things that you don't actually own to even play this game. This is why this should only be considered by someone who has all the stuff, because it is all reliant on physical components that span across the breadth of the Too Many Bones history. And so this is made as a love letter to those fans, but if you're not one of those fans, then don't do it. I'm telling this sort of experience so you can get a sense of what's going to happen. I'm not going to spoil too many of the puzzles other than to say it is a big internet riddle. It's an internet scavenger hunt. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I don't have the physical components, but I will do as much as I can with what I can find on the internet and using this thread. Because the thread gives you hints. It does not give you the answers, but it gives you hints, and there's no way to actually get those answers. So you can progress to the next stage. If it's by some chance something you don't own, okay, well, you can figure out what that knowledge is and then use it in the puzzle. No, it doesn't provide that for you, which it absolutely should if they want to make this accessible to anyone other than people who own the Trove Chest. Because yeah, there's a little hint on the Trove Chest that you have to find later on down the line too. The Trove Chest that only makes sense for people who have spent thousands of dollars getting everything. And also the hint that is sometimes covered with a little, sticker that apparently people put stickers on the Trove Chest to indicate things, and then they covered up the actual clue, and then they needed to turn to this thread to figure it out. There's also one that uses binary code that I could actually engage with because it uses the contents of Undertow, and you find a phrase, and then you have to translate that phrase into binary, and that's the solution. However, you can't translate the phrase using a couple of binary translators on YouTube. You have to use one specific one that the people who made this puzzle used, and that's the one that works, and the other ones don't work, and you won't get a hint about it if it doesn't work. It's an internet scavenger hunt. That's what it is. So I got through all the gears. There's a number of different puzzles, right? There's one for each of the stuff in the cards, and I got to the second puzzle of blood, and I figured out that you need the item card, Troll Brew, and you need to look at the flavor text of Troll Brew, and that's going to give you a number which you can then use. And that's where I stopped, because I only own Undertow. I don't have Troll Brew, the item Troll Brew, and even though they give you a picture of the item card a little bit further back, which would have been great to actually have the information you need hidden in previous puzzles, it's covered up. So you need the physical Troll Brew. And I looked everywhere on Board Game Geek to try to find it. Couldn't find it. People said that they used Tabletop Simulator to grab some stuff, but I don't have Tabletop Simulator, or I do, but I'm not familiar with it. I wasn't going to engage in another thing. And so that's where I stopped my journey. But I went through enough to know the feeling of what it gives you. And to me, that sort of thing wasn't fun because it didn't give me an opportunity to engage with it in a way that was fun for me. I think with escape rooms, and I've made an escape room, my neighbor and I, we did this escape room, online escape room during the pandemic called Webscapade. You can check it out, webscapade.com. It should still be up there. We did one episode. We've got a whole story arc, and then both of us got insanely busy, and we just, didn't pursue it anymore. He did the puzzles. I wrote the story for it. But watching people play the game, my girlfriend and her friend were over, and they were playtesting it, and they really enjoyed it because it's great. But it all takes place online, and they were unfamiliar with point-and-click video games. So they never played those, and so they didn't even understand the bones of the system of how to interact with the thing. And we didn't have a clue for that. We assumed everybody would know how to interact with the actual thing that we were presenting. And so they spent like 20 minutes, I was watching them clicking around the website, the various websites that we were directing them to, and trying to find out just how to interact with this room. And eventually I was like, no, listen, do you guys know point and click adventures? They're like, no. I'm like, click on the photo. You can investigate things in the photo like you're in the room. They went, oh. And so the aspect of clicking around and trying to figure out how to engage with the system isn't the point of these sorts of escape games. Or at least it's not something that I find fun, to have just spent all your time searching, trying to make sense of clues and not getting a sense of it because I didn't even know I needed to do this other step. In addition, it then becomes not fun when I feel like I have maybe all the information I should need from this internet and this thing and not know what I don't know. And so again, leading to the downside of not being able to engage with it in a way that you want to. Instead, you have to engage with it in the way that they want you to because of the hush-hush nature at which all of the Too Many Bone riddles exist on the internet. If you didn't know, there are riddles hidden in Undertow and the base game and Splice and Dice, which will give you actual physical content sent to your door. I think people get physical content, extra cards, extra baddies, if they solve these riddles. And that is it's really cool when you figure it out. And it's really cool. It's like a little additional thing. It doesn't bother me that that's an additional thing that I could pursue if I wanted to try to figure it out and earn those things and earn that experience. But when it comes as 50%, I would say, of the Automaton of Shale, a 50% equal split. In fact, I spent a lot more time on this than I did with going through the actual campaign. You need to have a way to engage where people can engage and find it fun. And if there was just like a cheat sheet where it said, hey, you need Gasket for this. Okay, you need the Troll Brew card for this. Great, right? But the fact that nothing like that exists, and it's all treated in this hush-hush, wink-wink, we can't spoil things for people, even though there are spoiler tags. We can't give away the answers. You must contact somebody to do it. There was no real way for me to engage with the content in the way that I wanted to and would have enjoyed doing. I probably would have kept on going through because the puzzles were fine. They were fine. We have like 40 puzzles. They can't all be really, really complicated from like an actual logic solving the puzzle aspect of it. But I just wanted to know what I needed to look at to solve the puzzles and trying to figure out what I needed to look at first, which is why I define this more as a scavenger hunt than an actual riddle, was fine at first and then slowly became a bit more frustrating. So if you think that's going to be frustrating, let me tell you, it is. And that is why only the most diehard of Too Many Bones fans should ever consider purchasing this, because this is a big part of it. The prize that you get is a discount off of Riddle. That's what you get. I think you get a discount. That's what I found from looking online. And only when a certain amount of people solve this puzzle over and over again will Riddle be unlocked to the masses. So it's this weird stretch goal of an eternity that they're doing. And then I think there's something else, because they said, hey, did you see the puzzle behind the puzzle? Not that one exists, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I thought, well, okay, then that's your little extra bit of content that you can get, which I certainly won't be getting. And I'm bummed that I won't be getting if it was factored into the production costs for this. Luckily, I didn't pay for this. This was sent to me by Chip Theory Games, and as was Undertow, so that I would have something to play it, so that I could share my thoughts, my honest and unbiased thoughts from Chris the Shill. But if I had spent that much money on a product and I was hit with obstacle after obstacle on how to enjoy it, or saying, no, it's a mystery. No, tell me the answer. I bought the thing. There should be a way for me to figure out the answer, or at least just engage with the content by purchasing the thing and not needing to purchase every other thing to find this enjoyable. So those are all my gripes with the Riddle portion. I know that was a lot. The pop-up book portion is fun. The campaign portion was really fun. Going through that curated campaign, it was a real highlight for me because I found there was a little bit more structure than just the random encounters. You could really tell a little bit more of a story as you go along and lead to the reveal of this big bad, and I thought that was kind of fun. But otherwise, for me, it just wasn't worth it. Hopefully this gave you enough information. I'm sure it better have given you enough information to decide if this is a purchase for you. I do not see, if you don't own everything, why you would get this, because the price is a little bit too prohibitive for you to just purchase it for the pop-up aspect of it. And considering the other element to it, I feel like you really need to want to enjoy that. Because the benefit of getting a discount and sold to on a new character that now that you worked so hard and poured your blood, sweat, and soul into, that you're gonna have to buy to make it feel worth it, is a bit extreme, I think. And should be considered, again, as I've said a million times now, as an integral part of the Automaton of Shale experience. That's it. Thanks for watching. My name's Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, and I hope I don't have to talk about this for a third time. I'm looking forward to giving this book away to Jess and freeing up the space that the box takes up on the shelf. And I'm also still looking forward to playing Undertow again and again, because Too Many Bones is a fun game, but this experience, unfortunately, was not. Or was overshadowed, rather, by unnecessary intrigue.